Good morning. I'm Attorney Ben Crump, along with Attorney Bakari Sellers, Attorney Harry Daniels, Attorney Wayne Kendall, Attorney Chantrell Lassiter. We have the honor of representing the family of Andrew Brown Jr. in these tragic circumstances. We also have present with us today, you all know Miss Gwen Carr is here, but we have Miss Tanika Cox, who is the mother of Fred Cox, whose son was killed by police in High Point, North Carolina, at a church. Not only are they killing us for driving while black, shopping while black, having a cell phone while black, sleeping while black, like Botham Jones been in our apartment while black. But her son was killed while at the church while black. And she did not think it robbery, Arthur, to come here and be with Andrew Brown's family. So like Miss Gwen Carr, we thank her and we continue to pray for justice for your son as well. Fred Cox Jr.
Fred Cox.
Now today, as we informed you yesterday, we have the results of our autopsy report that was performed by Dr. Brent Hall with Autopsy Professional Association. And you all will get copies of the autopsy report as well as the anatomical models at the end of the press conference. And for those of you not present with us here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, if you go to press@bencrump.com, they will send it to you electronically. We're going to hear from our legal team in this order, and then we're going to hear from the family members that are present. You're going to hear from Attorney Wayne Kendall, and he's going to go through some of the details of the autopsy. Then you're going to hear from my other great co-counsel, Good Omega. That is going to be Attorney Harry Daniels. And then you're going to hear from this brilliant commentator, attorney, Bakari Sellers. And then you will hear from Khalil, the son of Andrew Brown Jr. And finally, from our legal team, you will hear from Chantrell Lassiter, who not only is a member of our legal team, but personally knew Andrew very well. And this is going to be most emotional for his son and his family, but also for Chantrell, who became like family and working with this family. I want to thank Mr. Darius Horton. He's really helped the family a lot. He will be handling the services, the funeral services on Monday at 12 noon. But he also made sure that whatever the family needed with making sure they worked with the medical examiner, that he accommodated them. So we can never say thank you enough, Mr. Horton.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Horton. Now you all know from the death certificate that it was a penetrating gunshot wound to the head. But Attorney Sellers, what they did not know was that It was a kill shot to the back of the head. And so we're going to have Attorney Wayne Kendall go through the autopsy report for you in detail. And then we're going to have other members of the legal team talk about the relevance of how we put this puzzle together, because they won't release the video. So painstakingly, we have to keep putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Attorney Wayne Kendall.
Thank you, Ben. My name is Wayne Kendall. I want to first thank the Brown family for giving me the opportunity to be here, to be a part of the legal team representing them in this investigation and the legal part of representing them if necessary in court.
Hey, just hold them. Just hold them.
You got it. We commissioned a private individual autopsy report, postmortem report, because we don't have access to anything that's official. And what our preliminary autopsy report shows is that there were 5 penetrating bullet wounds to the body of Andrew Brown Jr. Now, consistent with what you have probably already heard, is that the first initial shots were through the front windshield of the vehicle that he was located in at the time that
Hold on one second. They're trying to do surveillance on us.
What you probably heard already, and you heard yesterday when Ms. Lassiter gave her recitation of what she saw on the video yesterday, was that Mr. Brown had his arms up on the steering wheel of the vehicle that he was then located in. And what happened was that there were 4 bullet wounds to his right arm. These bullet wounds, according to the autopsy, were more or less glancing shots. They were not fatal shots. So he was able to back up as these shots were coming into the vehicle. He was able to back up, turn the vehicle around, spin off across a vacant lot, and at that time, he was hit in the back of the head here, and that is the fatal bullet wound that was described in the death certificate as a penetrating bullet wound to the skull. And that was the cause of death, that was the manner of death by gunshot. So we now know, because we have not been able to get any official documentation concerning this shooting, that this in fact was a fatal wound to the back of Mr. Brown's head as he was leaving the site, trying to evade being shot at by these particular law enforcement officers, who we believe did nothing but a straight out execution by shooting him in the back of his head as he was trying to get away in a moving vehicle, which no doubt is also against police practice, to shoot into a moving vehicle to a person who posed no threat whatsoever to the officers then and there on the scene. So in summary, his death was caused by these officers with a bullet wound to the back of his head that caused him to lose control of that vehicle and crash into a tree. And I think once the video actually comes out, we're going to also find out that there were shots into that vehicle after it crashed into the tree and after he had been hit in the back of the head. The certificate also says that the time of death was within minutes after this particular gunshot wound to the back of the head. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Kendall. As Attorney Harry Daniels comes before you, it's important to note that the gunshot wound to the head, the entrance was the back of the head, range intermediate, projectiles sequentially perforated and penetrated his skull and his brain. It's important to note that The projectile was recovered in his brain. It never exited. And the trajectory, Attorney Daniels, was from bottom to top, left to right, back to front. So it went into the base of the neck, in the bottom of the brain, the skull, and got lodged in his brain.
Oh, Lord.
And that was the cause of death. Attorney Harry Daniels will put this in greater context.
Exactly. Execution. Execution. Give us a minute. Wait a minute.
Streets gonna get justice, bro. You better remember that, Negro. The streets gonna get justice. You ain't nothing.
Execution. That's what took place. That's what Attorney Wayne Kendall that's described. He went over the medical points of it, but that's exactly what that's described. Overkill, execution. The law enforcement in this country cannot be judge, jury, and executioner. Andrew did not get his due process. He was innocent. I don't care what the warrant, what the search warrant, he was innocent. He maintained the presumptions of innocence. So far as I'm concerned, that innocent man was killed by law enforcement. Overkill, unjustified shooting. Shot this man while he had his hands on the steering wheel. He wasn't fleeing. He wasn't fleeing. Let's get that word going. He wasn't fleeing. He was trying to run because he was scared of his life. He was scared for his life. And anybody here, if you get shot at, hold on, brother. If you get shot at, and you're going to run. That's bottom line, second nature. Fight or flight, you're going to run. He left, trying to save his life, and they continued to shoot and put a bullet in back of his head, in the back of his head. A black man, unarmed, bullet in back of his head for no reason whatsoever. This was an innocent man. I don't care what, you can put out whatever you want to put out. You can try to assassinate his character, but you need to talk about the assassination of him and who committed the assassination.
That's right. That's right.
All right, I'm gonna pass it on to Bakari Sellers, goes.
Attorney Sellers.
One of the things that I wanted to mention today is that we have the privilege of, my brothers, this is a message for everyone watching. Hey, you don't have to like us. That's fine, but please have respect for the family. So what we're trying to say is, you don't have to care for Ben or Bakari or Harry. You don't have to be Democrat or Republican. You don't have to be white or black to realize that what this family has not gotten is justice. We have an execution here in Elizabeth City. We have an execution here in Elizabeth City, and what I want people to understand while we have this execution is we demand justice from the sheriff's department. We demand justice from this district attorney. We demand justice not for anybody standing up here, but we demand justice for Andrew Brown and his family.
Amen.
Andrew Brown and his children. So you don't have to care or like Benjamin Crump. You don't have to like Bakari Sellers. You don't have to like Harry Daniels. You don't have to be a Democrat or a Republican to feel like injustice was done. You don't have to be black. You don't have to be white. You just have to have a beating heart or moral conscience to understand that injustice was done. So we will deal with people who may not like us. We will deal with people who may not vote like us. But at the end of the day, I do not care what you look like, who you pray to, where you walk, or how you vote. But what I do care about is the fact that an injustice was done. Now, y'all done got me carried away. I know that people said that, I switched accents. But my daddy in Denmark, South Carolina, my daddy would always say, you never argue with a fool because you don't know who's watching. Amen. And they can't tell the difference.
Bless your heart, Bakari.
But I'm saying today, for everybody, we on the same side and we want justice.
Amen.
We actually had a conversation. We staying together. We got Khalil. We got his brother on FaceTime right here. We got Khalil's mama right here. We have the mother of the family. We have 5 kids. And I don't care how you vote. I don't care if you're black or white. I don't care if you don't like me. But have a moral conscience for the injustice that's going on. The media has to gain control and say, we demand some transparency and some action from this body. We don't know what the video is going to show because they ain't shown us nothing.
Yep.
And we also have bad laws in the state of North Carolina. And everybody should be held accountable for the fact that in Columbus, Ohio, the video came out in a few hours. And you hear that pain? You hear the pain of the young lady in the back? That pain is all throughout the community. I'm about to bring Khalil in. And so the last point I want to make is one of the worst questions we always get asked. My last point is this. One of the worst questions we always get asked is, can the family tell everybody to be calm and peaceful? Yeah. And people always come up to the family and put that onus on them. All right. You know, they always say, can the family have a message to people? We appreciate the people who are protesting peacefully. We appreciate that. But if we want calm, if we want justice, then that onus is not on this family. That onus is the people who are hiding the information we need to get answers. And so I know that we want to yell, I know we want to scream, but I just ask that you all take a moment and breathe and pray for Khalil. Amen. Khalil's going to come up, and Khalil is the only one that's in this audience, I do believe, that actually had to witness his father be executed. So, again, I don't care what you look like, who you vote for, or who you like or don't like up here. I understand that. But let's lift this young brother up because he's witnessed something and he's now a part of a fraternity that none of us want to be a part of.